Right, Alex, what are these? What have you brought in?
Well, it's not a real beer mat. It's basically a sort of souvenir of Dylan Thomas, his drinking habits in the pubs of Swansea. It's sort of rather thin.
Beer.
Yeah, and the idea is this code here links you into the Taliesin Theatre where the film is being shown.
And that's where, can you buy tickets?
Yeah, you can buy a
stand there?
Yes, you can buy a ticket through there.
And that tells you more about the film?
Yes.
And did you draw?
Yeah, this is him in New York towards the end of his life when he basically was courted by universities and travelled around lecturing, which actually killed him in the end because he lived on booze and celebrity. I studied at St Martin's, but then I went to Swansea School of Art and the university to do an education degree. And in those days, the art school was just near the station opposite the Glenvivian Gallery. So that was old Swansea. And actually, when I was a student at Swansea, there was still bomb damage.
Wow.
Yeah. And I first came across Dylan Thomas when I was a boy, because I come from the age of radio, and the wireless was our entertainment. And I remember hearing Dylan Thomas. Dylan Thomas did a lot of broadcasting for the BBC, and when I heard his poetry, it was just amazing. I hadn't heard anything like it. It was like this whole new wave of inspiration came, like Buddy Holly and rock and roll and skiffle and jazz and everything. And for me, Dylan Thomas was very much like that because he was this exciting poetry.
Because he was fresh and new at the time, like, and Bob Dylan was inspired by him.
Yes, yeah, it took his name from him. In fact, there are a lot of similarities, really, except that Bob Dylan is 80 and Dylan Thomas died at 39. They're poets that are available. The thing about Dylan Thomas's poetry, my 30th year to heaven, it's easy to understand. Do not go gentle into that good night. Good night.
Relatable.
Yeah, yes, it's good night or it's something else, which is what he invests it with. Yeah, so he became very important. And then during lockdown, in the COVID thing, my friend suggested I do something about Undermilt Wood. Well, Sir Peter Blake, who was my teacher at St Martin's, he illustrated Undermilt Wood. So I didn't want to do illustrations, just like book illustrations. I wanted to do something different. So I basically I did a group of paintings and then photographed them and then put them together as a little film. And it worked, and so I just carried on and quite stop frame, but basically I've just really spilt some fluid on here.
Authentic.
Yeah, it's looking more authentic now. No, I did hundreds of paintings, literally.
600?
Yeah, about over that. Yeah, a lot of them were just on little pieces of board, and they were just photographed. But anyway, the film rolls
Some of them
on.
are much bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
And are they? Do you find that there's similarities between living on the island, like Bembridge, and where you were in White?
Yes, there is a similarity because what Undermilt Wood is about, it's about a community where everyone knows everyone.
And that's Bembridge.
Well, it's the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
A lot of people behave quite well on the Isle of Wight because you're going to bump into that person again, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I think what I love about Dylan Thomas's Undermilt Wood is it's timeless. That you could apply it to modern life. There's a Mrs. Pugh. There's an No Good Boyo. There are all these characters.
And are any of the characters you painted people that you know that you've related
Yeah, well,
to?
I thought I couldn't afford to have Julie Walters or Victoria Wood, so I put them in as the ladies of Langara, which is his name for the village. And the village was called Llangarib, which I know or Llangarib, because in Wales 2 L's are cl. So bugger all backwards is Llangarib. So in fact, people unknowingly were saying bugger all when they said Llangarib, which is the name of his mythical village, which has never been projected more than about 3 meters across. So at the Taliesin Cinema, where we're going to have the premiere on the 29th of March, that is the first time, that's like a world premiere for this film. So it's a bit of an unveiling.
In Swansea.
Yeah, in Swansea, at the university.
room.
Yeah. Oh yes, that's the other lovely thing is that the premiere of the film is in the town where Dylan Thomas was born and lived, and I think it's the 70th anniversary of his
wonderful.
death. Yeah.
Tell me about all these paintings for your exhibition.
Well, they were painted for the film under Milk Wood during lockdown. Some on paper, some on canvas, some on board. Dylan Thomas was very keen on 3 in a Bed. That appears in the film. And so I made about 600 pictures, and they were all photographed. I photographed them and then put them in the edit. And then after lockdown, I spent about 6 months putting it together as the film, because it's a full-length feature film.
Amazing. And what medium do you use to paint?
These are all in oil. A charcoal drawing, that's separate. These are all in oil, except for this, which is acrylic painted on paper collage, which I used for the girls dancing, one of the scenes in the film.
Fabulous.
I think what I wanted to do was I wanted the paintings to have texture, because the voice of Richard Burton is so rich that somehow or other it seemed that the sound and the image should sort of both be very gritty and very textured and almost earthy. Yeah.
And so how did you choose your colour palette?
I tried to, actually there's quite a lot of warm colours, quite a lot of purples in here, but I don't know. Here, for example, in this picture, this is about the Reverend Eli Jenkins's study, and he's a historian, so it talked about his books and his paintings, and I sort of had a little jokes here. I mean, Augustus John and Gwen John came from Tenby, which is not far from where Dylan Thomas lived. So I put as a sort of pastiche of a Gwen John painting there. This is a very strict old matriarch. Here are some Welsh ladies. And here is his father, who was making love to a girl in the hayfield and had his leg cut off. And then he says, "Oh, my poor father who died of agriculture."
Excellent. And tell me about this wonderful piece here, where it looks like a lady submerged underwater.
Well, this is Captain Cat, and I'm afraid I'm sort of made a mistake. He was talking about a brothel in the Far East in his memories, and he was talking about good time cows, and I painted them literally as cattle. And then he's dreaming of his love. He's being nostalgic in his old age about his youth and all the girls he met when he was sailing. And there is somehow this image of them all, they somehow seem to be drowning in a sea of memory. And that's what I used in the film, actually. I wanted all those nostalgic sort of old man remembering his youth, which is extraordinary when you think, because Dylan Thomas was only 38 when he wrote it, and he's writing like someone my age, looking back over his life of long distant memories of people he knew and affairs and romances that he had. And so that's what Captain Cat was doing in that scene.
Excellent. And I love the way the eyes follow you around the room, a bit like the Mona Lisa in your portrait of Dylan here. It's like he's actually looking at you wherever you stand.
Yeah. I painted that really just out of the love of doing it, really, because he was a very sort of pretty boy and turned out to be rather a sort of eccentric looking overweight poet, and he had this sort of wonderful angelic look when he was young, and of course he was born as a poet. I mean, it's extraordinary. He was writing poems since the age of 14, and of course, you know, put a life's work into those 39 years.